Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Naturally, I would prefer to have this type of discussion in a two-way conversation. But summertime makes that challenging with many people off campus. Please know that I welcome your comments, your thoughts, and your suggestions on these topics and any others that you might have. Today, there are three main topics that I would like to cover. First, I would like to provide you an update on the Stabilize, Invest, and Grow strategy. That's what we've been working on collectively together over the last several months. Second, I will review our current budget and explain what to expect in the budget approved by the Board of Trustees for the fiscal year beginning July 1st. Finally, I want to briefly chat about how we will lay the groundwork for our university community to look at longer-term goals and planning issues. So let's review the main elements of what we termed our Stabilize, Invest, and Grow strategy. First, with the help of Ernst & Young, we wanted to verify our overall financial situation, look into the future. Our goal was to establish a common understanding of the numbers. That has been accomplished. Second, we asked every unit to identify critical areas to control costs and grow revenue. We have identified several areas of focus across campus and will continue to work on this moving forward. Next, we needed to develop better tools and systems that enable us to use analytical data to make more fully informed decisions. That work is being finalized. Thanks to a lot of hard work by many different people, we have tackled various challenges. We've asked departments and units to routinely reach out to students to facilitate recruitment, retention, and graduation. We all need to pitch in whenever possible to engage prospective students. I know many of you have done exactly that. Personally, it was a pleasure for me to visit more than 100 high schools and give more than 30 presentations to students and parents. You should also know about our innovative Akron Guarantee Scholarship, our graduate assistantship adjustments, and the faculty retirement transition plan. We are now looking closely at other things, such as travel and expense policies and practices. More information about them will be provided as they are more fully developed. Please know that we are involving a broad range of people from many different parts of the university in order to have comprehensive discussions to reach more fully informed decisions. I do want to thank the team from Ernst & Young that has worked alongside us over the course of the last several months. Their experience and expertise has been most helpful. And as we are winding down their engagement over the next couple of months, we'll be looking internally to make things work going forward. As we look to our plan, we have made some strategic investments that will help us as we move forward as well. We have made strong strides to expand our international programming and student recruitment. Our new international center is based in Buchtel Hall and includes 4 new international recruiters, an executive director of global engagement, and an executive director of international students and scholars. We expect our current international student enrollment to stay about the same this coming fall, which is a significant achievement in light of when we got started. And our recruiters are actively building the relationships that we need to increase our international student numbers for the following years. We are also developing international programming that will help enrich the international experience for all students on our campus and for the campus community as well, in many different ways. We have also made needed investments in 2 other vital areas, admissions and development. Both areas are important sources of revenue for the university. We already are seeing benefits to this investment, with very positive signs both in projected freshman enrollment and in contributions to the university. We all know that increasing enrollment is the top priority to help restore us to financial health. In general terms, our enrollment generates about 95% of our revenue, principally through tuition and fees, but also through the state's share of instruction, or SSI. Thanks to extensive efforts in recruiting and following up, new freshman enrollment is tracking about 400 students higher than last year. We are looking at fuller residence halls again. Even though it is still preliminary, that is very good news, given the drop-off of freshmen that occurred last year. Much work remains between now and the start of classes in August, so your continued support is needed. Please seek ways that you can help. As you know, we have seen very large graduating classes over these past 2 years. That's great. But those numbers, combined with last year's freshman class decline, suggest that we will likely see total enrollment decrease by about 5% when the final figures come in mid-September. Naturally, this brings budgetary and other challenges. In fact, that brings us to the question of the university's budget. Let's take a brief look at where we believe we will wind up this fiscal year's budget, that's fiscal year 2016 to 2017, and then talk a little bit about the budget for our upcoming year, 2017 and 2018. The original budget for this fiscal year anticipated that revenue would be about $30 million less than projected expenditures. That $30 million gap was to be covered in different ways. Front-loading the savings from refinancing of our debt realized about $7 million in one-time savings for us to use. Second, we said that we would work aggressively to control spending, including restraints in hiring. Finally, we plan to draw $18 million from our limited savings account. I really want to thank everyone for their cooperation throughout the year as we manage this year's budget. As a result of our collective efforts and patience, we will need to draw down those reserves far less than we had originally thought. While we won't know the final numbers for a while, Chief Financial Officer Nathan Mortimer reported to the Board of Trustees that it appears we will actually have tapped into those reserves significantly less than originally planned. That is truly remarkable news, as it helps us this year and the next coming fiscal year as well. I'm really grateful for your assistance in making this possible. We truly appear to be on the right path. Unfortunately, though, we still have significant challenges that are facing us. In fact, that brings us to next year's budget. First, I want to provide some background on the assumptions used to prepare a budget for submission to the Board of Trustees. As the state of Ohio budget is being finalized, we anticipate either flat or a slight decrease in the total amount of state support provided to UA. Although we are hoping for some flexibility, the state may continue its restrictions on raising tuition and/or general fees. Total enrollment will likely drop about 5% due to the large graduating class and last year's drop in freshmen. So, we need to plan accordingly with these constraints. We consulted regularly with the University Council's Budget and Finance Committee, and we prepared a budget recommendation that was submitted to the Board of Trustees. We very much appreciate the committee's discussions and input throughout the process. Next year's budget contemplates an estimated gap of $29 million between revenues and expenditures. We plan on addressing this sizable gap by continuing to increase revenues in numerous areas while holding the line on expenditures. We will then withdraw from reserves what's needed to make up the difference, hopefully much less than $29 million. Working together this coming year, it is critical to close this $29 million gap and conserve our savings and make adjustments. You can view the budget materials that were provided to the Board of Trustees by typing in the URL that is on the screen. Keep in mind that the upcoming year is year 2 of our Stabilize, Invest, and Grow strategy. As I said at the outset, I'm very encouraged by our progress. When we were originally looking at the 2017 and 18 fiscal year, a deficit of $45 million was projected. To be able to close that gap already is very encouraging. However, we must maintain the urgency, commitment, and cooperation with which we started. Finally, during my conversations and meetings with many different members of the university community and with the community at large, several questions have been raised, such as what kind of university do we want to be? What is our direction going forward? How can we best position our institution and its students to succeed? Now that we have completed the Higher Learning Commission review and put in place next year's budget, we are much better positioned for more in-depth discussions on those important and difficult questions. During the next couple of months, we will work with various constituencies to design a process to answer those questions, and then engage in those campus-wide discussions when the fall semester begins. Our goal is to complete that work by the end of the year. Admittedly, this is a very ambitious schedule, but it is imperative in light of our situation that we move as quickly as we can while ensuring that we gather meaningful input from all corners. There will be more details coming in the weeks ahead about this critically important work. In closing, I remain encouraged by the energy, support, and positivity that I have seen both inside and outside of the university. I know there have been sacrifices throughout our community, and I want to thank you for that sense of shared commitment and dedication. Let's continue to build on that enthusiasm as we work to make UA an even better place for our students to learn, grow, and succeed. Please do not hesitate to contact me with your questions, your ideas, and your suggestions. It truly is about the students and our desire to serve them, to make sure that we are thriving as we move forward. I hope that you have a very productive summer, and I look forward to seeing you again in the fall.